Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Let Me Redo It. My job sends me to neighboring countries for teaching, regularly, so I'm used to unusual and contorted expense sheets for international travel. I'm high enough in the food chain to be allowed first-class train travel. Since I have a yearly second-class subscription to our national railway, I don't need any national tickets. So I don't have any physical copy, which gets tricky when the time comes to submit the expense sheets. Custom is that we print out a screen capture of the online shop of the National Railway. Yeah, paperless is still a faraway utopia, and expense the corresponding sum in the sheet. So far, so good. Travel expenses are covered with a pretty generous lump sum due to the contract with that particular client. My job has already built my work and gotten the money, including the travel expense lump sum. I submitted my expense sheet in time with a copy of the international ticket. It reads, hometown to client's facility city, return first class ticket, including first class upgrade and international discount due to subscription. So I simply took the cost of the ticket, added it to hotel and food cost and sent it, 2 months ago, not wanting to do some useless busy work. I was told yesterday that it was denied by our finance service because the ticket doesn't start at company office city. The messenger was very apologetic and offered to insist and resubmit on my behalf. I said please don't, I'll resubmit it myself. Cue malicious compliance. So on non-billable company time I screen printed return tickets and first class upgrades from company office city to border city and attached the additional sheets to the rest of the receipts. After deduction of the already accounted for first class upgrade hometown to border city, the whole expense sheet comes out 10% higher in my favor. And our internal financial controller and the central financial service get to re-review my expense sheet. The next story is called Not Allowed to Help. I started a new job about 2 years ago and finally found a job I'm naturally good at. It was amazing as my performance had been top notch with no disciplinary actions and even a few awards. So I started helping out my fellow co-workers when they were struggling, and especially helping out the newbies who just got off training. Which is garbage generic training for 3 weeks, which has literally nothing to do with our sector, and we are literally told to forget everything we learned because it doesn't apply to us. So naturally, the newbies struggle a lot at the start, and that tanks the performance of the entire team. So I wanted to be a good team player now that I finally felt like I knew what I was doing. But apparently that was a mistake on my part. After 3 months of helping my team, I was called into a meeting with our coach to discuss my behavior. And I was told that I was not allowed to help my coworkers because I am not trained in that field and only the higher ups are supposed to answer questions and make decisions within our job. This would be fine and understandable if the coach was available for the entire 8-hour shift to answer questions and help people, which they are not. I pointed this out along with some statistics that since I started helping out answering questions, our performance has gone up each month. And that it helps the newbies feel welcomed, as they have a non-superior they can ask stupid questions to without worry. Another mistake on my part. Our coach got really angry, and I was basically told that this is how it is, and if I'm caught giving unsanctioned help again, I will receive disciplinary action. Okay, fine, have it your way then, you said pathetic excuse of a human. I screenshotted the conversation, dug up performance reports prior to me helping, during me helping, and for the next 3 months without me helping. And wow, shocker, we started tanking in our performance. How could this have happened? So the entire team got called into a big meeting with the higher ups, our manager and coach to discuss what is going on and why we are doing so bad. I let everyone speak and say their piece. At the end of the meeting, I just asked if I could have 5 minutes of one of the big chief's time, as I think I might have a solution to help improve our performance. He was actually surprisingly interested, so he called me up after the meeting to hear me out. I told him about the whole situation, showed screenshots, performance results, the whole 9 yards. My dude was visibly shocked, a bit lost for words to be honest. He said he really appreciated the input and would look into fixing this internally, and that was that. 3 days later, our coach resigned and searched for greener pastures. The third story is called Hairstyle Compliance. When I was in the fire academy, the women's dress code said that hair had to be worn in a neat bun. I had layered shoulder-length hair, so it was difficult to keep it up neatly all day long. The shorter pieces would stick out of the bun or fall around my face, and my bangs weren't long enough to pin back without using an entire bottle of hairspray. Most of my instructors were understanding and said that as long as my hair was up and my mask concealed to my face, they would consider me to be in dress code. But there was one instructor who said there was no excuse. We are a paramilitary type school, so dress code is extremely important. She acknowledged that it wasn't a safety issue, but told me I had to follow it anyway, and that doing my best wasn't good enough. She wrote me up 3 times and then called me in for a meeting to inform me that another write-up for the same issue would get me expelled from the program. I looked into the dress code and saw that the men's hair code was much more lenient. It just said that hair must not touch the collar of the shirt or the tops of the ears. So the night after the meeting I went to a hair place and told my stylist to do whatever she wanted to my hair as long as it fit those requirements. She was stoked and gave me a really cute pixie cut. The next day the same instructor tried to write me up, but since I was technically in dress code she couldn't. The next semester there was a man with long hair who wore it in a bun instead of cutting it, and the following semester the dress code was rewritten to be gender neutral. The last story is called You Should Unionize. This was a few years ago now. What I've heard, the changes I helped instigate have been reverted. It's a good story nonetheless, but let this be a lesson that no company ever has its workers' backs. I used to work at a major grocer. They more or less supplied all restaurants, hotels, school kitchens, etc. in my country. Since all didn't need their food at the same time, they scheduled workers for different times. Usually, the bulk of food would be driven out the afternoon before it was needed, and deliveries could not take more than 8 hours tops. They also promised their customers to fix problems with their orders. Say if a picker had missed an item or taken the wrong one, or if a carton got destroyed while delivering, etc. All this amounted to a very rigid structure where management required top quality. We had detailed reports on everything, and if we were below efficiency we got serious talks with management. Because the job was easy, they could handle large turnover because training to 100% speed took no more than a month or 2. This pushed long-time workers to be excellent all the time. Most people that had been there a year or 2 picked their orders with 100% or close to accuracy and also were above the set efficiency margins with a good amount. We actually got nothing back from management from working more efficient. No increased salaries or bonuses for being above our weekly goals. Keep this in mind for later, as it is important. To handle customers' various demands, we had 2 morning shifts, a day shift and an evening shift. We also didn't assemble orders on Sundays if there were no leftover orders that couldn't be finished during Saturday. Generally, day shifters had the worst salary, since it was precisely in the unflexible time margins. In my country, you are paid more for worked hours between 10 in the night and 8 in the morning. There were large disparities between the shifts. Almost all new employees began working on the day shift, hence it became known as the chaos shift. The more seasoned workers began hating this shift since they had poor handling of picking trucks and were slow in the narrow alleyways. Newbies obviously couldn't do much about this, and it wasn't their fault. Adding to that was that earlier shifts got priority at getting home earlier if the company as a whole were ahead of orders. Now to the malicious compliance. The earliest shift, 6 to 3, had to pick for a major fast food chain each morning. This was heavy work. A box of fries weighed 15 kilograms and an order typically had 30 boxes. It wasn't unusual that you'd pick a total weight of 7,000 kilograms or more during a whole shift. If they finished early, they usually got to go home for the day. Hence it was sought after to work there, and many of us day shifters applied to switch shifts. The line to switch got longer and longer. During my 3 years of working there, few actually got to switch before the incident, since the only reason the company had to switch an employee was if one working the other shifts quit. During summer months, the ordinary early shifters went on their vacation, and in July and August, the more seasoned of us day shifters got to switch shifts to fulfill the fast food chain orders. Management could not force us to do this, but we did it voluntarily, and they could do our weekly schedule however they liked. Typically, it got really bad with early mornings and later evenings intertwined. It was against labor laws to schedule us like that, but we didn't say anything to our union since we wanted the earlier shifts. It was amazing to finish early. I had time to hit the gym, go to the beach in the afternoon and have a beer with friends before I got to bed. After working those hours, I really wanted to switch, but management was extremely stringent. It worked for them. They could keep the large bulk of people on the less expensive day shift and ask them for help when needed. They didn't have to switch anyone, but I had an idea. I talked with all the people that usually switched shifts and convinced them that if no one switched, they'd had to move people to the earlier shifts, since they did not have enough people to do the required tasks. I also talked with all the seasoned workers to stop doing extra work. For my plan to succeed, I needed everyone to do minimal work and no one to switch. It was glorious. Efficiency numbers plummeted. For 4 whole weeks, management had to ask people to come in on Sundays to work whole 8-hour shifts, which were 300% salary due to it being weekend and overtime. I heard from friends that worked in commerce that customers were furious that orders weren't fulfilled. Management ripped their hair out since we all did minimal but fully accepted amount of work, and hence they couldn't fire anyone. What did all this lead to? They switched half of the day shift to the earlier shift, which included all of the people that used to flex out of the day shift. They had to hire 5 more people and they gave the evening shift an extra hour until 11, which was huge for them. Moral of the story? Unionize and screw middle management. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.